in Mike, and we had a lot of different development opportunities to make him even better. We knew the velocity was sort of trending down. We obviously talked through that extensively. Felt like, given the market and given the asking price and given all those different things, we felt like it was a good bet to make. And ultimately, like, we walked off the mountain last night or came out of the game last night, and right now it's not looking like a good bet. But ultimately, that's our job. We kind of make bets on these things, and doesn't mean he's not going to help us the rest of the year. We're still waiting on the medical stuff, but we gotta adjust, and then next guy up to help us.
In those types of situations when the velocity's down or acquiring guy, are you extra diligent with the medicals?
For sure, we spent a lot of time on that because earlier he was sitting at much higher velocity. It was kind of coming down. We were trying to get to the bottom of exactly what that was, and he had the MRI before that. So yeah, clearly there was so that risk profile was known, and we decided it was given the asking price and given the fact that we felt like he was sort of a notch above some of the other guys that we were talking about in terms of talent and development opportunities. We thought it was the right risk.
It's not your job's not for the weak-hearted, is it? I mean, you have to. It's tough decisions, and they don't always work out.
We make bets on human beings, and sometimes they work out, and obviously in this case, it doesn't mean that. Like I said, I haven't gotten the full report yet, but obviously. Disappointed. We did a lot of due diligence. A ton of research, and if it doesn't work out, that's on me. That's the job.
Was the MRI like as clean as you would imagine for a pitcher? Normal.
There's never been
right.
There's no clean MRIs.
No, as clean as you would imagine.
As I would imagine.
Well, I'm saying, was it the normal?
He's not a 6-year-old. Obviously he's a major league pitcher. I think but yeah, no, we felt comfortable. Obviously, we felt comfortable enough to make the deal given the MRI. And he made his next. He continued pitching, and that's pretty indicative of how the MRI looked.
So when he said he reared back a little bit last night, you think it happened in that moment?
I don't know exactly. I'm not sure. You do wonder if you always wonder whether extra adrenaline and being in a new place or something like that. But it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it happened, and like I said, it's my responsibility.
What's the plan for Horton? And we know there's no direct science to all that. So how do you guys come up with a proper plan?
We've talked about it a lot. There is no direct science as far as exactly what numbers. We've obviously tried to monitor his strength and his health throughout, and we'll be careful. But to your point, there's not like there's a bright line. I think so much of it is evaluating him kind of start to start and making sure he's feeling good.
Was part of the balance with Soroka, you probably envisioned him as a reliever after these first few weeks. Does that make it easier to make that?
Well, we definitely talked about him as being an out-getter. We knew there was a potential world, maybe in a hopeful world where if you get these guys back, that he could maybe work into a bulk role, but trying to solve for getting out, just getting outs, and so that was a part of the calculus.
Jed, when you kind of look at it next steps, you kind of fight the urge to rush a tie owner and a side back and make sure that they're kind of ramping up the right way they're supposed to.
No, I think those guys, we need to do the right thing by them. I think sometimes we think about the deadline is close to the end of the season, and we have 2 full months to play, and we need to make sure those guys come back and are ready to go. And we're not going to alter their plan at all. Knock on wood, they're both getting close to the end of their rehabs and close to ready. So that's a good thing. But we're not going to alter anything because of that.
The offensive slump that you guys have been in, how do you internalize that without throwing everything in your offense?
It's baseball. I think that what we were doing for the first 2 months, while unbelievably fun, I think at some level you kind of knew that wasn't sustainable. I think when you looked at all the underlying numbers, we were going to have some regression. I actually think now we're due for the opposite. When you look at our numbers over the last 9 weeks or so, I think we're due for some of these guys to come out of their slumps. So I try to be pretty balanced about it. I think you have to look at it on both sides, right? And we were never going to continue hitting the way we did for the first 2 months, and I think that we're a better offensive team than we showed recently. But again, that's just the nature of a long season. We have a very good position player group. I think that that's the strength of this team, our offense and our defense of this group. And we'll get hot again. Hopefully it happens fairly soon. No one wants to watch us grind out these games, scoring a couple runs. But I think it's a long season. There's going to be ups and downs.
The manager has paid attention to your acquisition of Castro and used him every day to rest different people. How, with this hot summer, and all that it's been through, how essential do you think?
That was a big part of the logic of trading for him, was allowing us to get more rest. Our bench was struggling. I don't think I did a good job building the bench in the offseason, and I think having a guy like Castro that I don't think we don't miss a lot on at the position when he plays. He can play all over the place, and if we can give these guys days off and play him often, I think that's a good thing, because it is a hot summer, it's a long season, and you want to write the same lineup day after day after day, but ultimately the most important thing is making sure that you're getting them, you're maximizing each of these guys, and they could all use some time off.
When the offense slumps like this, is it hard not to think back to last year when when you were probably thinking the same, like it'll end soon, and it just extended for 2 months?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the you never know when a hot streak ends, and you never know when a cold streak begins. And I know that sounds, but it's true, right? Like, you look at it and you think to yourself, okay, we're gonna, I know we'll snap out of this. I know we'll start hitting well. I don't know when. It's impossible to know. I know these guys are doing all the work. I give our hitting coaches and I give the players so much credit. They show up with the same attitude every day. So, and sometimes you get the results and sometimes you don't. But yeah, I think that, of course, you think back on that and just, that was such a struggle situationally. And I do feel like if you look at our situational numbers for the last, 8 or 9 weeks, we have struggled with guys in scoring position. And that's something that we were really strong at the beginning. And, no team has figured that out. You're not going to go 6 months and dominate with guys in scoring position. So I do feel like we have some positive regression coming in that regard.
We'll take 2 more for Jed.
What's that?
How close to 100% is Tucker, and is he still bothered at all by that trend?
Probably more of a question for him. I know it did bother him for a while. I don't know whether it still bothers him, whether it created some bad habits along the way, compensating and things like that. But there's no question that when you look at, look at his numbers, it's had an impact on him for sure. And that's the nature. Sometimes these small injuries, they can do that.
How do you, when you look at that and whatever impact it might have had, you had a good June after that, and then it was really July where it kind of...
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how much is pain, discomfort, and how much is habits you got in to maybe compensate for something, and how much is just a slump, right? That's but yes, it's no question that I'm sure it's had some impact on him.
Yeah, obviously, the slump is what you hope for, because
Yeah, right, exactly. So.